Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. Today we're talking about Nick Cage's latest film, Dream Scenario.
I wish I was the one people were dreaming about.
Me too.
Yeah, no, it's something.
How's he dealing with all this?
We're not even the type of people that like attention, you know?
But real quick, if you guys are new to the channel, before we jump into the review, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up. And let's go ahead and talk about the film. A family man finds his life turned upside down when millions of strangers suddenly start seeing him in their dreams. However, when his nighttime appearances take a nightmarish turn, he's forced to navigate the consequences of his newfound stardom. Now, I am a fan of Nick Cage. I am definitely not to the level of some of the Cage fanatics that are out there, though. I know some friends and stuff who absolutely love the guy, but I am a fan of his. He's had a long, respectable career, although he has had his fair share of ups and downs as well. Years ago, though, you started seeing a bunch of memes with Nick Cage popping up with them in little clips, vines, different things like that, showcasing some of the more famous outbursts of some of his characters throughout his career. And that's kind of what he almost had like a resurgence just because of that and what he kind of became known for quite a while. And I actually read that recently that, I don't know, it was a couple years ago or something, that Cage actually, he had Googled himself, and what he found with some of these memes and stuff like that, he wasn't really too happy about. Like, he understood why these memes came about in different videos and things like that, but he wants to be remembered for his body of work and not necessarily just these little clips or little moments that are in these films. So it's really interesting because if you hear that and then you watch this film, you can see a lot of similarities between Cage and his character Paul in Dream Scenario. And I could be wrong here, but I could have swore I read like a recent interview or something saying that the character of Paul was actually written based off of Cage and those memes, and after watching the film, that totally makes sense if that's the case. So you had this guy named Paul Matthews in the film, played by Nick Cage, and he's your pretty standard guy. You know, nothing too special about him. He's middle-aged. He's a professor. He's been a professor for a while, but for most of his life, he's kind of just blended into the background of things. He doesn't really stand out amongst his peers or even sometimes with his family, and so you can tell he wants a little bit more from life. One day, though, he finds out that people are starting to dream about him. At first, you see that it's people that he's known in his past, coming up to him, reconnecting with him, saying like, oh, you've been on my mind in my dreams lately. But then you start to see that the dreams also are coming from people that he's never met or just doesn't have any kind of relationship with at all. So naturally, all these people start talking about him, and at that point, he ends up going viral. Now, what's interesting about a lot of these dreams is that, because you get to see a good amount of them, but what you see in most of these dreams is that Nick Cage's character, Paul, he will just kind of show up randomly, and he doesn't really do a whole lot in them. So I found that very interesting. And like I said, you get to see some of these dreams from these different people playing out, and some of them, it looks like almost end-of-the-world scenarios. Some are kind of horror-based. You get some that are pretty funny. So it was cool to get to see, some of those different dreams and how none of them are really connected other than having Paul in each one of those. So after Paul goes viral, things start getting pretty crazy. So his class that he teaches ends up becoming more popular. You see all these people, the students just seem more engaged, although they mainly want to ask about the dreams, not necessarily the class itself. He gets like all these friend requests. People start messaging him. They want to interview him. You get his two daughters, the younger one. She's like, hey, Dad, can you drive me to school? He's kind of the cool dad now. You even get this PR company that reaches out to him, and they're like, hey, we want to try and get different endorsement deals and stuff like that for you. So naturally, for a while, things are pretty amazing for Paul. But then things change and everything kind of goes south really quick. I won't get into the specifics of what ends up happening to kind of cause this shift, but it starts out gradually. You see first, like Paul, he's meeting with the PR team, and he's talking to them. They're trying to get all these endorsements done for him. And he kind of goes, hey guys, this isn't what I want to be known for. I want to actually publish a book, and tells them what he wants to publish it about. And you can just tell that they have no interest in that. And Paul, he wants to be more known for, for publishing this book, finally getting that done, rather than what this PR team wants to focus on and what the public kind of knows him for. And so it was interesting to see the similarities between that and then, you know, Nick Cage with all the meme phenomenon that happened several years ago. And as things start to go bad for him in the film, you get to see not only how it affects him and how he can't even go out and do some of the simple things that he was able to do before because of the issues that are going on. Not only you get to see that aspect, but you also see how it affects other people around him, mainly his family, you know, his wife, his kids, and how they're dealing with the situation as well. And there are some legit horrifying things that happen in this movie that really made you think, what would I do if I was in this situation? But the movie also does a good job of having some humor in there that was able to get me laughing out loud a number of times throughout the film as well. I really enjoyed how Dream Scenario examines the highs of lows of someone being suddenly and unexpectedly being thrust into the spotlight, and just other things like cancel culture and how that affects an individual as well. And for the most part, this movie had me hooked from start to finish. Outside maybe a little bit in the third act or the end of the film, it didn't quite land perfectly for me there, but it wasn't anything that really is a big detractor for the film from me overall. I still really enjoyed this thing. I knew as soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, wow, this seems really interesting. And I just found the concept of this movie fascinating. So it's one of those movies where even after watching the film, I'm still thinking about it afterwards, you know, talking about, you know, doing this review right now. And it's probably going to be something that I'm still going to be thinking about for a little while, you know, just putting myself in that scenario. How would I handle that situation? And so for me personally, I think if this is not the top one, it's definitely one of my favorite of Nick Cage's recent performances that come to mind. So as far as the score goes, guys, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I highly recommend you guys check this out. If you guys are a fan of A24 films, if you're a fan of Nick Cage, I think you guys will really dig this. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts once you guys get a chance to see the film, or if you already have, let me know down below in the comments. And what is your favorite Nick Cage performance of all time? Let me know. Again, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up. And as always, guys, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.